You're watching Make WordPress Work with Lisa Butler of Elembee.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up WordPress. Let's get started. So the first thing I've done is I've logged into my Namecheap account, and this is where I buy all of my domain names. I like to buy my domain names from Namecheap because, one, they live up to their name. They are reasonably priced. I can always find a good deal on domain names here. And I also like to have all of my domain names in the same place so that I can easily manage them all. Now, I used to have my domain names with Bluehost, which is where I first started hosting my website. And I have since moved all of my domain names to Namecheap. I still have a Bluehost account for other websites that I create, like the one that I'm about to show you. But my main website is hosted through Flywheel, which is a managed WordPress host. Now, what host you need depends on where you're at with your business and what your budget is. For me, my website is very important to my business, so I want to keep my main domain name with a managed WordPress host that manages backups, security, and things like that for me, and it also helps my site run faster. Now, for our podcast, I'm going to use my Bluehost account, which is a shared hosting account, and that means that there are multiple websites on the same server, and so you don't really know necessarily who you're sharing a server with, and that the other websites on your server can potentially affect your website. So it's kind of one of those instances that you get what you pay for. I've had good experiences with Bluehost. I will say that they've gotten some bad press recently, and they haven't, sites have been down a little bit more often than they should be. So I'm, kind of hesitant to recommend them at this point. It depends on, if they improve. But at the time of this filming, I still have my Bluehost account. I really haven't been experiencing too many issues, but then again, I don't have any high traffic sites, or, sites that are particularly, important that they have absolutely no downtime on my Bluehost account. So just something to keep in mind. I think it's a good idea to keep your domain names separate from your hosting. And that way, if something does go wrong with one service or the other, you're not moving everything all at one time. That would be a huge headache. And then if one is down, the likelihood of the other one being down is, pretty slim. And so, especially if you've got email running through your domain name, you might have it, like, for example, mine runs through Google Apps. So even if, my website were down, it wouldn't affect my email at all because I run it through a separate system, and then my domain name is not on the same web host as my website. So just some things to consider. In this video, I'm going to show you how to direct your domain name to another hosting account so that you can purchase your domain name separately, get the best deal, and have them all in one place. And like I said, I highly recommend Namecheap for purchasing domains. As you can see, I have quite a few domains in my account, and this isn't even all of them. So the first thing that I'm going to do is you'll see my companyincpodcast.com domain. That's the one we're using for our podcast. I'm going to go to manage. So you'll see some details about my domain name here. Depending on where you bought your domain name, this is going to look different, but what you're looking for is name servers. And that's where mine is right here. Right now it's pointing to Namecheap. So I want to point it to Bluehost. So I'm going to use a custom DNS. And I believe Bluehost is ns1.bluehost.com. I'm going to double check that in my Bluehost account. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm in my cPanel for my Bluehost account. I'm going to go to domains. And I want to add a new domain to my cPanel account. So I want to assign this domain. And now I want to use a domain that is not already associated with my account. So I'm going to type in companyincpodcast.com. And it's verifying my domain, and then it'll tell me what name servers to use for Bluehost. So there we go. We have ns1.bluehost.com and ns2.bluehost.com. So I'm going to go ahead and copy those and paste those over into my name servers. And then I'm going to save. In Namecheap, there's a little check mark to save. So I'm going to click that to save. So now I'm going to go back and reload this assign page on Bluehost and go through the process again so it will check. And so it's going to verify my domain and check for the name servers. And so it's verified the ownership, and it says the name servers are currently set to Bluehost. So we're good to go. Now, depending on who you're using, it may take some time for the name server change to go through. So if it's not immediate, don't worry. Give it at least 24 to 48 hours before you contact support to see what's going on. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to use this as an add-on domain, and that's going to make sure that I can make my website look completely different than anything else that's on my server. And so that just gives it its own directory on my account, and I can install WordPress in that directory. So, and it will go ahead and create an add-on directory for me. And it will generate the name. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it as that, so I know that that's what it's referring to, and click on assign this domain. Okay, so it's completed assigning my domain name to my Bluehost account, and it says to wait 5 to 15 minutes for the task to complete. So now that I have assigned my domain name to my Bluehost account, I'm going to install WordPress. So I've gone to WordPress tools, and this is the screen that comes up. I want to go to new install. And then I'm going to select companyincpodcast.com. And then I'll put in my site title. And then I'll create an admin username and password and put in my email address. And then I'll click install WordPress. So I've successfully installed WordPress, and it gives me the information below, and it tells me what my site URL is and that installation is complete. So now I can go to companyincpodcast.com/WP-admin, and I can log into my site. So here's the login page, and you'll put in the username and password that you entered in the setup. And there you have it. I've installed WordPress, and in Bluehost, it gives me this little welcome to WordPress. I'm not sure if that is new to WordPress or specific to Bluehost. I actually haven't seen it before. But I'm just going to go ahead and say no thanks, because I know, what I need to do to launch my site. So now I have my dashboard. I can go ahead and set up my dashboard. It says my site's currently displaying a coming soon page. I'm actually going to create a custom one. So I'm just going to go ahead and disable that. So now that we have WordPress set up, I want to show you a few little things that you're going to want to do to set your WordPress site up for success. So the first thing you want to do is go to users and click on your username to access your profile. So I've scrolled down just so that you can't see my username, but I've added in my first name and my last name, and then I put in a nickname. Let's say that you wanted to show your blog name after your name when you respond to comments. This is where you can do that in the nickname. So I could add Lisa Butler, Elembee.com, and then change the display name publicly as to my nickname. I'm going to leave it as Lisa Butler for now. Then you can put in your email address, and that's where you're going to get any WordPress notifications. And you can enter your website here as well. For your profile picture, you'll see a link to change your profile picture on Gravatar, which is also a good idea if you're using a theme that shows your picture. The next thing that you want to do is go to Settings in General. So first you want to enter a tagline because you don't want it to say just another WordPress site. So our tagline is an audio diary of two business owners living, working, and sleeping together. So that describes our podcast. So then as you scroll down, you'll see a place for your time zone. I'm in the central time zone, so I'm going to look for Chicago or Dallas. So there's Chicago. And then you can change the date format if you like. The most important thing is to make sure you have the right time zone so that when you publish your posts, when you schedule them, they're scheduled for the correct time. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And then the last thing I'm going to do is click over to permalinks. And this has it by default on the plain, which has numbers, and that's not very descriptive. It's not good for SEO at all. It's not convenient for sharing. So we want to change it to post name so that when we write a post, it'll say companyinkpodcast.com/first-podcast or, something that's more easily shareable. So I'm going to click that and save changes. And then you're all set to start blogging. Thanks for watching. For more tips on using WordPress, visit elembee.com.